the history of Taiwan and mainland China. To discuss the history of Taiwan and mainland China, we must start with the territorial landscape during the Qing Dynasty. Under Qing rule, territories such as Mongolia and Taiwan were part of the empire. However, with the rise of the Industrial Revolution in the 19th century, the Qing Dynasty remained an agricultural society, hindered by internal corruption and systemic stagnation. It gradually declined in the face of industrialized Western powers. Meanwhile, Japan rapidly rose to prominence through the Meiji Restoration, shifting from comprehensive learning from China to adopting Britain's political system and scientific advancements. With its growing strength, Japan eyed Korea, then a vassal state of the Qing Dynasty. A conflict over control of Korea led to the First Sino-Japanese War, 1894 to 1895, where the Qing forces suffered repeated defeats and the Beiyang Fleet was nearly annihilated. The cession of Taiwan and Japanese colonization. In 1895, the Treaty of Shimonoseki was signed between China and Japan, whereby the Qing government ceded Taiwan and the Penghu Islands to Japan. This marked the beginning of Japanese colonial rule over Taiwan. During this period, Japan implemented industrialization, modern infrastructure development, and educational reforms, significantly advancing Taiwan's economy and social development. By contrast, the vast expanse of Qing territory left governance over Taiwan lax for many years, with the island's economy remaining primarily agricultural and its social development stagnant. During Japanese rule, despite experiencing oppression, some Taiwanese collaborated with the colonizers to drive industrialization, transforming Taiwan into an economically advanced industrial island. Its infrastructure, education, and economic levels far exceeded those of mainland China under Qing rule. The fall of the Qing Dynasty and the establishment of the Republic of China. Plagued by internal and external crises, the Qing government signed a series of unequal treaties, exacerbating the hardships of its people. By the late 19th and early 20th centuries, anti-Qing revolutionary movements emerged across China. In 1894, Sun Yat-sen founded the revived China Society, advocating for the slogan, "Expel the Manchus, restore China, and establish a republic." In 1905, he united various revolutionary groups to establish the Tongminghui, Chinese United League, promoting the three principles of the people, nationalism, democracy, and livelihood, to overthrow Qing rule. The 1911 revolution succeeded in toppling the Qing government and establishing the Republic of China, ROC. Although the ROC replaced the Qing dynasty and inherited its territorial sovereignty, the new government was plagued by corruption, economic weakness, and political fragmentation. At the same time, communist ideologies from the Soviet Union infiltrated China, culminating in the founding of the Chinese Communist Party, CCP, in 1921. From then on, the Kuomintang, KMT, and the CCP vied for control of China. It is particularly important to note that both the KMT and the CCP inherited the traditional centralized governance model of China. This system, centered on the concept of unification, prioritized the preservation of rulers' authority while paying little attention to the rights and welfare of ordinary people. Although the two parties differed in ideology and policies, their governance models exhibited strong authoritarian characteristics, continuing the legacy of Qing-era governance. The return of Taiwan and the Civil War. After World War II, Japan surrendered unconditionally. In accordance with the Cairo Declaration and other international agreements, Taiwan was returned to the ROC. However, peace did not follow Japan's retreat from China. The KMT and CCP resumed their civil war after the victory in the Second Sino-Japanese War. Due to Chiang Kai-shek's refusal to implement democratic reforms, the KMT lost critical U.S. aid and ultimately suffered defeat in the Civil War. In 1949, the CCP established the People's Republic of China, PRC, while the ROC government retreated to Taiwan. Taiwan's democratic transition. After retreating to Taiwan, the ROC government attempted to establish authoritarian rule on the island. However, Taiwan had already begun transitioning to an industrialized society under Japanese rule and was influenced by modern democratic ideas. The KMT's oppressive policies faced strong resistance from the Taiwanese population and democratic activists, culminating in political reforms during the 1980s. The prolonged resistance of the Taiwanese people against the KMT's authoritarian rule, combined with growing U.S. skepticism about the KMT's governance capabilities, led to significant changes. During the Cold War, the U.S. feared that continued authoritarianism by the KMT would alienate the Taiwanese people and destabilize the island, providing an opportunity for the CCP to invade. As a result, the U.S. increasingly pressured the KMT to implement democratic reforms, even hinting that failure to do so might result in the withdrawal of American support. Under internal and external pressure, the KMT abandoned authoritarianism, and Taiwanese society underwent a democratic transformation. Taiwan not only preserved Chinese cultural traditions, but also integrated Western democratic ideals, evolving into an economically prosperous and technologically advanced region. Today, Taiwan is a global leader, particularly in semiconductor and chip manufacturing.